And you are back on the Tortoise and Hare experience. Okay, so very interesting as we move into the experience. I would like to start off the experience, or actually, who goes now? It's me, right?
It's you. It's all on you.
Okay, so this is an experience that I've been going through. And that is, with the new year, I decided to change my laundry cycle. Okay.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I know that all of our listeners are just, hanging on the edge of their seats.
Well, here's the thing. Like, for us common people, laundry is a major part of our life. We're not like you, where people just come and just pick up your laundry. You don't even have to worry.
They don't do that anymore.
No, that doesn't happen?
No, because they were selling my underwear.
Okay, well, they're making a profit.
I bought some. Actually, I get it
Black
for free.
As you should.
She get a lot of stuff for free.
Yeah. So my laundry days used to be either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I couldn't commit to any of those days. So it would always be like a floating day. And I finally settled on a Thursday. And now I'm doing it at a laundromat on Thursdays. And I like to do it like early in the morning, like right when the laundromat wakes up, like at 7 in the morning.
The laundromat wakes up?
Yeah. At 7 in the morning, because you know what, like I have these notions of like all these like weird people like during the day, and it's like I just want to get my laundry done and out, and so I could start the rest of my day. And so my day will start like by 8:30.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Like,
it is weird.
I think everybody's
weird.
world revolves around laundry.
Are you bringing this up because of my slovenly attire?
No, this is just
You trying to tell me something?
No, this is just the experience I've been going through in 2016. Just because
Change is good.
Yeah, change is really good. And just to give you some backstory, like 2 years ago I moved out of my house, so I was so used to not even worrying about laundry.
For the first time in his entire life.
Were you living with your mother?
Yes, I was. I was living with my parents.
Gotta love mom.
Yeah,
Right. At 36, he finally moves out.
Yeah.
Gotta really love mom.
Yeah. Well, I moved out right at 35, right when I turned 36. So it was like, I don't know. Technically speaking, I was 35.
Okay. We're happy to hear that.
Yeah. And so I moved out, and then for a year I had a whole thing of the place that I was at. They were allowing me to do laundry there, and then they stopped letting me do that. They stopped letting me do laundry only because I was so adamant about doing my laundry. I'm very, again, my world revolves around laundry. Like, I feel like my week doesn't start until I have like fresh laundry, for work or for whatever.
Unlike Tracy Guns, who doesn't shower for 3 days.
Yes. Like him, I should have taken some pointers.
No comment.
Right. You might have to wipe down the couch there.
That's why you want me on this side.
I'm sure he didn't smell today. Yeah. But God knows.
Nice. I'm just curious about you guys and your laundry habits. If you do your own laundry, and do you have a certain day?
Well, like I said, I do my laundry now.
No way.
Yeah, I do.
Do you have the luxury of having your own laundry, like washer and dryer?
I do. I have a laundry room in my house.
That's such a luxury.
Yeah.
You have no idea until you have to go out and like just do your laundry like in front of people, and then you're just like, oh, when's the right time to bring out my sexy underwear to throw in the dryer?
But you just said that you don't wear underwear, so that's,
I know.
You're just a liar.
I was being facetious.
You just lied.
I was trying to get a rise out of you, Bax. Come on.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Anything for the show.
And Jonathan, you do your own laundry?
I do my own laundry. I've been very fortunate to have my own machines in my apartments or houses.
Very nice.
Yeah. Although when I first moved to London and I didn't, I would just drop it off and let them do it. It's worth the extra money.
I would do your laundry.
Oh, thank you. You can come over any time. Although on the road, it's much easier to just buy socks and T-shirts and throw them away.
Right.
And much cheaper.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And when you're on a big tour, you usually have, wardrobe people like Sintra,
Right,
who
true.
used to do the laundry.
Although I don't
Which is
recall
nice.
her doing socks. I think, there was a limit to what she would, to the depth that she would stoop for us.
Yeah.
But she was terrific. Yeah. And
But
when
you
you're,
can put, your stuff out in front of your room, and they'll take it away and bring it back
Oh,
freshly
yeah, but
laundered, which is a lovely thing.
But on that tour that we're talking about, which is Alice Cooper, when we met, that was a very funny story. It was in Finland when we all stopped, and we were in Helsinki, and Petrelli and Shirini and everybody had dirty laundry. And they didn't know because they were the newbies. I was the old man on that tour. And they all dropped it off in the hotel to have it done. And all I remember is checking out and Derek Sherinian being at the front desk screaming, no, that he wouldn't pay, $200 to have 8 pair of socks and 2 T-shirts, done in the hotel.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you never drop your laundry off in a hotel.
Yeah,
Throw
it's
it out
expensive.
or wait until you've got a day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier for a outside company to come and pick it up
Yeah, totally.
than the hotel itself.
Yeah.
It's expensive. But, usually on every floor, there is a washer and dryer, so you can just go and do it yourself after.
Well, not in the nicer hotels. I mean, if you're staying at Holiday,
Well,
whatever
yeah.
the cheap ones are. But,
You
Alice took care of us on that tour. We were staying in, Hyatts and,
God
and all of
bless
that
Alice.
stuff. And, yeah, they don't do, no machines. Yeah.
The things you learn when you just talk about laundry.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's true. So that's your experience,
that's
the
been
laundry?
but it's been a
That's-
good experience because usually I would do it like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so I felt like my weekend wasn't really a weekend because I still had stuff to do. But now that I have it cemented firmly on Thursday, it's like the weekend isn't as bad. It kind of feels a little bit more like a weekend, even though I work. But it's like I don't have to wake up later, or earlier just to do that.
Does it make a difference if there's a full moon on Thursday or something, or just Thursday no matter what?
Just Thursday, 7 a.m.
Okay.
No matter what, I got to be there.
7 a.m. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a ritual.
Well, because you know what, I just not that my clothes is weird or anything like that, but there's certain things I don't know that in my head I don't want to see people looking.
You're the
at.
first one in the machine and nobody's around.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
Then when it's time to dry, it's like, okay, everybody's busy, throw it all in. All right.
Yeah, I follow in this.
You scare me, Turtle. You really scare me. So my experience lately, like I was talking about before, I was at NAMM this past weekend, which I tried desperately to run into you, and I
Yeah,
was
this might be
unable
the
to.
first one that we've never bumped into each other, but
Yeah.
I was just slammed with
Yeah.
meetings morning to night.
Yeah, it's
It was a
crazy.
busy one.
It's insane down there. And it seems like you can't schedule a meeting at a proper time. You have to schedule and then reschedule and then, have people meet you.
I have to
It's-
do mine months in advance. We
It's very
start
hard.
on the calendar in October and November. And
Yeah.
even then, once you get there, you find yourself needing more time to get through them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But
It's
I've
hard.
spoken to a lot of people just in the last couple of days since it ended. A lot of company people that said it was one of the better shows in quite a few years. So
I think
hopefully
people
that's
were
a good
spending
sign.
money again,
Good.
which was nice.
Yeah, an upswing.
Nice, yeah. I didn't see a lot of new product, but I thought that it was a better run show than it had been in the past.
Yeah.
Except for that the outside world was advertising that people could just come and get in, like it was.
Well, they opened it up to consumers for Saturday and Sunday this time. Usually it was only Sunday, and because Saturday was really, really busy.
Yeah, it was
And,
crazy.
Yeah.
Which that makes me nuts,
Yeah.
because we're there trying to do as much business as we can and get things done, and then you have, basically fans just running up and
Right.
trying to.
You leave one booth, you try to go to the
Right.
next, and you can't even get down half an aisle.
I was at the Ovation booth having a meeting, and they don't have a set room, so you're kind of standing out in the booth itself. And this random guy comes running up. Oh, I have to take a picture with you.
That was me.
Oh, well, I didn't recognize
sorry.
you because you were clean.
But bump.
Yeah. So he comes running up and wants to take a picture, and I'm trying to have a meeting. Trying to get Ovation to sponsor my charity, and it's a very serious. I'm talking about children and dying, and the whole deal. And this guy practically knocked me off my feet, and I was like,
Hopefully the guy from Ovation realized that you have some pull.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
they did.
Yeah.
They were, he was kind of impressed. He was like, "Oh, can I take a picture too?"
Well, there you
I had
go.
no idea.
Sure, with a
'cause-
guitar that you can leave with me.
Exactly. Thank you very much. But it was a good show, and very grateful to Ovation and DW and Schecter, who is my main sponsor. It was awesome. What was
Cool.
your experience with it?
My experience with NAMM? Well, I was there for the magazine. You know, I have
Right,
Drumhead
Drumhead.
magazine, and we just the new issue that's out with Steve Gadd on the cover is our 10th anniversary, and we just found out last week, a few days before the show, that we are the #1 drum magazine in circulation right now.
Cool.
So having those numbers from an audit that we just did was really great to have, you know, in the meetings and to show people what we're doing. And so it was an extremely successful show for the magazine. But I was also there, you know, representing Swing House, which is where we're sitting.
Right.
And
The
which,
fabulous Swing
thank
House.
you. Which is my new venture out here in LA. I partnered with Phil Jogwe, who started Swing House about 22 or 3 years ago in Hollywood. And a couple of years ago, I closed my studio, which you'd been in New York. I own Skyline Studios, which was a great state-of-the-art studio. Everybody from Steely Dan and David Bowie to Shakira and David Byrne recorded there. And I shipped all my gear out, and I partnered up with Phil, and we took over this space that we're sitting in, which is almost 23,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, but we do everything here. We've got the recording studio, 9 producer suites, a full backline rental, event production and management, rehearsals, sound stages, showcases, this showroom, offices. So you know, all of my meetings were basically for both, and it was a great show for us. So very happy.
I want to talk to you real quickly just about event production. I don't think people understand like how important that is. And a lot of people just, you know, bands are just like, we're just gonna go out and play, you know, and our music is just gonna sell. It's like, well, yeah, it's gonna sell, but you gotta have a vibe. You know what I mean? Like your music is your vibe, but you gotta have all the right pieces.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to it. There's, you know, everything from the building of the stage and the lights to, you know, having the right sound system, monitors, in-ear systems, and so, you know, we're here to do it all. And you can start here in in one of our big showcase rooms, sound stages, or you can just you know, go out and do your thing, and we show up and put up the staging and put everything up. We also do artist relations and some distribution here too. So the other great thing is we have all of the Diodario products of guitar strings and Evans heads and Promox sticks and, you know, amps galore, drum kits, so whatever you need, we can supply it all.
That's awesome.
One house shop.
Yep.
One shop house. How do you say that?
One-stop shop.
Thank you.
All under one big roof.
There it is.
And it is a big roof.
It's
is.
huge. It's huge. I got a little lost the first time that I was here with you and walking around. I couldn't believe it because, you know, I owned sound stages before. And it was a city block, so not quite this big because this is spread out in a way that I think is prime for musicians and production because you're not really hearing the people next door. And you're able to come in, come out, and, you know, have a really nice flow. Where a lot of the other studios, it was very difficult. If you have, you know, one major artist in, that's all you get, and you can't book out at all because it's overwhelming.
Well, when we came in here, I mean, the first thing that I said when Phil showed me the space was, we're right next to the train tracks. Are you kidding me? But what we did was we cut the entire slab of concrete. All 4 walls were separated, and then everything inside was separated with troughs. So the nice thing is we've got complete isolation, not only from the train and the outside world, but also from the inner workings here. Another cool thing, starting from scratch, was we were able to take Soundstage 1 and 2, which are the huge rooms that you could fit an orchestra in, and cut through the floor so that we've got the lines and the cables running into the recording studio. So if you wanted to bring in an orchestra, we can record it in that room and have it lined into the neve. So it was well thought out and well expensive, but it's working.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have your Neve back up and running because, wow, that's... Do you know anything about boards? You
I think you
kind of
said
do.
about like boards.
Yeah.
Like this time's about 1,000.
You know what? It's weird because that times 1,000. I can understand, but and you may when it comes to like engineering, I'm an engineer's worst nightmare because what I like to do with boards is I like to basically like I like to create 5 boards and then patch them all together. It goes against everything engineering possible. Every engineer would love to kill me. But what I like to do is I feel like it basically compartmentalizes every instrument, you know, because I feel like having one big board just means that all these things can interwork together. But it's like I like to separate everything, you know what I mean? It's kind of like almost having my own little room within a room, you know, even though it's all together.
Yeah, but you can separate any console and
I'm
just
sure.
bust whatever you want in whatever direction and patch them over to here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the funny thing about it though is, I mean, my Neve is about 15 feet long and
Holy
60
cow.
channels, but it's literally that. You know, I
Right.
mean, at one you learn one channel. It doesn't matter if you've got 8 or 92, 96.
Right.
You know, it's all the same thing. It really
Right.
is.
But it's like the mothership.
Yeah.
You know, your board is
Yeah.
like,
And it sounds
that's
beautiful.
where everything
Yeah, we had a lot of
comes
custom
together.
work done to it, and that was one of the factors in me getting Steely Dan into Skyline. Was they were looking for a Neve, and they checked out about 15 studios in New York. And when they came in with Elliot Shiner and listened to my board, which was an upgraded board, Mad Labs did the upgrades to it, which is an LA-based company. They just fell in love with it, and we got them in for 15 months to do Run Record.
15 months. One band, 15 months.
Wow, that's a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, which actually
amazing.
happened. They started 2 months before 9/11.
Oh, wow.
So we started in July of 2001, and then got whacked, and you know, everybody left New York City, and I was stuck in South America when that happened. When I finally got home a week later and realized that the city was dead, no pun intended. You know, I just said, oh, that's the end of my studio. I'm never going to survive. And about a week later, Donald Fagen called up and said, I'm stuck up in Woodstock with my wife. Can I please come back to work? And so, you know,
Because I'm going to kill somebody.
he came back down to the city, and we had him for about another 13 months. And that saved me. Steely Dan saved my studio.
Well, it's a good band to save.
It is a good
Yeah.
band to save.
Yeah,
Good,
definitely.
great guys.
This might be a little too niche, but for your board, did you decide to go with British knobs or faders?
Well, these are both, but no,
They're
not.
both.
They're not the old broadcast
Yeah,
Neve with the
that's-
giant
yeah.
knobs. No, these are faders, flying faders actually.
Okay.
Martin sound. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
weird because like I do have like another board with just like little like British knobs.
Mhm. Oh well,
You know
yeah. I
what
mean, it's covered with those.
Yeah.
But the old broadcast Neves are the ones with the big dials on
Yeah.
them that look so cool. The BBC Neves.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are cool.
No, we don't have that.
At the radio station KLOS, we actually have at least 5 of those.
Yeah,
with
nice.
but they're in storage, and every now and then some musicians will come and then we'll show it to them. They're like, "Can we buy
Yes,
these?"
I was just going
Right.
to say, if
Yeah.
you find out that they want to sell them, let me know.
But they're like, no, and I'm like, why? You know, because it's not even like because they're like asking all the like talent. And I'm like, the talent, they don't know anything about this. I'm like, this is the engineer department.
The
And-
great thing about a lot
Yeah.
of those boards is they're 16 channels.
Yeah.
So in this day and age, with a Pro Tools rig and a sidecar of you know, a Neve board like that, it's a fantastic combination.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and they just don't. They just leave them there, and I'm like, they're just
Collecting dust.
Somebody needs
That's
to break
it.
into KOLS.
liberate
Good listening to
Oh, wait,
it.
never mind.
There goes our show. And thank you. Good night.
Mm-hmm.
No, nobody's going to steal anything from
No.
KLOS.
Liberate.
But if they could just lend it to us,
Yeah,
we would
Permanently.
we'd be very grateful.
and you could probably fit them in here, right?
Oh
You-
yeah, they're small.
Easily,
Yeah, those
easily.
Neves are tiny. They're smaller than this couch.
yeah.
Mine's about 3 times the size of the couch, but those
Yeah.
broadcast boards are great.
With having so much like choice, like how many as far as like the frequencies and like the mids and lows and stuff like that, is there more of that
Sure.
in there?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that do you like that? Do you really go in and like, you know, change up for the different tones for the different instruments? or-
Absolutely, because if you have like bass guitar and bass drum, and there's too many similarities in the frequencies, you have to really get into the micro units so that you can dial them in, and that way you can listen to bass and bass drum without them canceling each other out.
I have a very like, you know, way of like looking at it when I am looking at a board, as far as like, because when it's all set, you know, they're all, I look at it as they're both going in the same pipe, so I want to create a different route, you know, for those two sounds to go in together, but at the same time still going through the pipe separately.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just what you're doing. You know, I mean, literally, the end result is a stereo mix. So, you know, you can have 1,000
Yeah.
sounds come
That's
in and
true.
recorded these days with Pro Tools, but, you know, you've got to have the talent to put it into just a right and a left.
Right.
You know, unless you're going for, you know, major surround sound, and I think they're up to like 11.1 or 13.1 now. But yeah, I mean, it all does come out in a basic stereo mix.
Are you a fan of just mono, or do you?
I'm a fan of great music, you know. I mean, I would rather listen to the Beatles on a transistor mono radio than quite a few bands on $1 million stereo system. It's just a great,
Most
as long
bands
as it's a
today.
great song, I'm a big fan.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course, I love quality, and, you know, the quality of music is getting better and better every year with, you know, D to A converters and everything, and A to D. But yeah, I mean, I'm a song person more than anything.
Yeah, it's definitely about the song. And, you know, if you go back in history of music, you know, there's such great songs.
Mhm.
You know, the production was terrible, but the songs were amazing. And today, the production is amazing, and
the
the
songs
songs
are
are
nothing.
just, there's
Yeah.
nothing there. There's nothing to hold on to. So
Right.
there's no band loyalty. There's no market loyalty, because there isn't anything to love.
I think back in that
Unfortunately.
day, you know, you only had your one sense of hearing, which was the radio. Nowadays, your biggest sense in music is your eyes. So, you
Right.
know, they're marketing people in a whole different way. I mean, that's the unfortunate, you know, story we all heard. Well, we did, I'm sure, about, you know, Christopher Cross when he first came out, and
Yeah,
everybody
yikes.
heard him on the radio, and next thing you know, he's platinum, and then he started showing himself on TV, and he wasn't looking like Andy Gibb.
Right.
And, you know, that was the end of his career, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was
So
sad.
yeah, and that
Sad.
was kind
Bruce
of a big...
Hornsby, the same
Mhm.
same kind of deal. Luckily, Bruce Hornsby had such a legion of fans
Right.
that, you know, they held him up. But
Yeah. Well, anybody
you know.
affiliated with the Dead has that, you know.
Yeah,
We should
yeah.
all be so lucky. But yeah, you know, it is a whole different ball game these days, where artists do get signed. I mean, you know as many A&R people as I do, and it's not about listening to the song anymore. It's about looking at the package.
right,
You know.
exactly.
And-
And you know, the young girl that was here earlier from the band Dame, she's new to the industry, and, you know, just coming up. And, you know, it's Tracy Guns was also saying that, you know, we want to give her all these words of wisdom, but, you know, we can't, because the industry has completely changed
Right.
from when we, you know, first started out and got our first record deals. So it's interesting to see where she's going to go and what they're going to do with her, because she has such a fantastic look. But,
Yeah, I didn't
you
meet
know,
her, but she does have the look in the package, that's for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, very
Yeah,
pretty girl.
very beautiful girl.
Yeah.
So, you know, hoping that her A&R people are able to, you know, move them into the right direction,
Right.
not fall away,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you offer that too? Do you offer A&R people and?
Sure. I mean, we do artist relations here
Right.
for the music industry as far as instruments and everything.
Okay.
But we produce and put together spec deals and projects and everything, and we also have our A&R connections and labels. So when we do come across an artist, we can easily have them, you know, seen and heard. And again, my partner Phil is a manager of a few different artists as well. Jared James Nichols is an amazing up-and-coming guitar player and singer that just won a couple of awards and was voted like in the top 10 of new artists in Rolling Stone. Eddie Kramer produced him, then I drummed on his last record. Phil is managing him, and, you know, he's been out touring like crazy, opening up for Glenn Hughes and playing with Lynyrd Skynyrd,
Nice.
and he's getting a lot of attention now. But that was done the hard way. That was, you know, grinding it out in the clubs and doing your first demos and turning it into an EP, and slowly but surely, you know, climbing the ladder, which is great though, because it's not a flash in the pan. You know, so many artists these days that have that, you know, the package, they don't have everything behind them. They don't have the years of touring, and you know, you write your first couple of tunes and you think they're great, but they really suck.
Right.
And it takes 5
Right.
years to start to really write. And a lot of these new artists that are out there, they just have it right away, and then you don't have anything to follow it up. So somebody like Jared has been around for a while, and he's really taking slow steps getting up there. But it's a great climb, and he's still going upwards.
Nice.
So yeah, we definitely do all of that stuff here. If there's anything we don't do, tell me and I'll do it.
I was just about to ask
Oh,
you,
I'll
what
make you a
don't
list
do?
later.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Let me just give out the website. It's swinghouse.com. And I went to your frequently asked questions page, And it, you know, a lot of it is, look, just send us an email. So let me give out the email. It's info@swinghouse.com. And you guys do rehearsals, recordings. You do audio rental. You have a backline rental, and of course, event production. Just to name a few things. And you guys also perform miracles here too, I'm sure.
We try. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If you see water on the floor, we'll walk on it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
That too.
See how that's happening?
Yeah.
So Turtle, things have changed drastically for us
Yes.
in our show.
Yes. Extremely drastic.
Yeah.
Which is what I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, you know, last year was all about accepting change, and now I'm all about it. You know, let's change some more.
Yeah.
Next
all
year
about
you
the
can do
change.
your laundry on Tuesday.
No, because that's a show day.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Gosh,
Yeah.
don't have him do that. Mess up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, we were at NoHo 2 Studios in the lovely North Hollywood. And then for a minute, we were at Park Place, Cali, which was such an interesting venue for us.
You know, it was. Here's the thing that I will always say about Park Place, Cali. It was a perfect fit for us for that time that we were there, but we had to come here. I'm like, when I got in
We
here,
had to grow up.
Yeah, when I got in here, I was like, yes, you know, I could just feel the musicians around me and the artistry, you know. Whereas like what was great about NoHo 2 was that there were always musicians around. There was always, you know, an artist around. Well, at Park Place Cali, there was just us bringing everybody, and not that that wasn't a bad thing. It's just, you know, to get even more, what's the word I'm looking for? To get even more comfortable, I feel that we just needed to be around more art, more musicians, and right now I'm like super comfortable. Everybody here was super. Tracy was like, dude, I'm so comfortable here because this is where I come and I rehearse. And I was
Right.
like, that felt so awesome.
Yeah, and
know?
I think we're going to find that with a lot of our guests, that they've already been here and are already loving this place. So it's going to be a natural fit.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys know the old swing house as well, and you know, very familiar with Phil. But this is the new, you know, the new one. We've had a couple of people that have actually gone to the old one, where I've said, yeah, man, I'm over at Swing House, and next thing you know, they're over on Willoughby in Hollywood saying, where are you? But yeah, we're over here in Atwater Village.
Atwater. Yeah. And what a cute little area this is. Great restaurants, and
It's a great neighborhood. The restaurants, I mean, we're right next to Momed, which is an amazing, very healthy Beverly Hills Mediterranean place, and right up the street on Glendale Avenue, is it, or Boulevard Avenue? There's a bunch of bars and restaurants.
I'm still East Coast too.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
what is
just
it?
moved here 2 years ago, 2 months ago, so I'm completely new to all of this, but it's a great neighborhood. I really like hanging out here.
Yeah, I like it. It's filled with energy, and it's very eclectic. You know,
It's young and artsy as well. I mean,
Young and
I
artsy.
don't know the difference, but they say this is the new Silver Lake.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
We don't
it's
know
a
what
cool
that means,
hang.
but okay. It sounded good.
Yeah.
It sounded good. Tell me about how you developed Drumhead magazine, because when I first met you, you were on the cover of a drum magazine. And
Yeah, the
I
month
was
that we
quite-
met, that's
I was
right.
quite impressed at that. He was half naked and
Not
wet.
quite, but
No, you were pretty half naked in that shot.
not on the cover shot. No.
Well, in the photo that I have of you holding that
Oh, that's
magazine,
probably
you're
more like it.
naked.
Yeah, that was, I think, November of 1989. Yeah, right. And it came about, really, it was a business transaction. It's a long story, but the quick version of it is I was approached by a couple of music business people that, one guy in particular that was the biggest music book and magazine publisher of Europe that wanted an in to the American market. And at the time, 10 years ago, that he was thinking about it, he and the American partner that he was working with had agreed that there were too many guitar magazines, and, you know, vocal magazine, no offense, wasn't
Yeah,
popular
thanks.
enough to get into. You know, what did we want to do? And they thought about a drum magazine. At the very same time, my little brother, Mark, who you know, was managing a great new five-star restaurant in New York that one of these guys was in one night and saw my brother's name tag and said, you know, interesting last name. Do you know Jonathan Mover? My brother said, yes, he's my older brother. And the guy freaked out. I got to meet your brother. I'm a guitar player. I've got all the records he's on. I've seen him play with Joe and everybody. So I met this guy, and in the course of me showing him Skyline one evening, he just matter-of-factly said, you know, what do you think of the American drum magazines that are out? And I very matter-of-factly said, I don't read them because they suck, basically. And, you know, there were a lot of things about them that I just didn't really care for. They were great when I was growing up, and I really learned a lot and everything. But then the writing got worse and worse, and there was one time in a particular magazine where I was reading an article that a drummer from a band that I replaced on his record that I was ghost drumming on was being interviewed about, you know, his record. And, you know, nobody said anything about who really drummed on it. And I just said to myself, this is ridiculous because the truth is not being told. So when these guys approached me and said, if you could have your own drum magazine, what would you do? And I said it would be a magazine based on education meaning the truth of the industry and the real deal of what's out there. So I put together a little bit of an outline and I gave it to them, and they came back and said, this is what we're thinking of doing. We would like you to be a partner and be the editor-in-chief. And I said, no, thank you. You know, I don't know anything about editing a magazine, let alone, you know, writing a piece of, you know, work for it. But, you know, I'll be a creative consultant and you can pay me for that. And they started interviewing editors and kept on calling me back saying, we don't think they can do the job you can do. They don't understand your vision. And then I just said, you know, fly me to Munich, let me spend a week in your facility, because he had, you know, a huge place over in Germany. And I said, I want to be able to go department to department. Let me, you know, meet everybody. Let me see in 1 week how you put together a magazine from start to finish. And at the end of the week, I'll either find you somebody to do it or I'll tell you that I can do it. And at the end of the week, I said I can do it. And that was the beginning of Drumhead. And then, like every business, things happen. People, you know, like each other. People don't like each other. And the end result is a year and a half ago, I became the sole owner and got rid of everybody, including the former partners and former managing editor. And there were a bunch of unethical things going on. And for a magazine that's all about honesty, as soon as I found things that weren't honest, I put a stop to it. Found a new managing editor who's now my vice president, and we're killing. You know, we're absolutely tearing it up.
Yeah, Genevieve is.
Genevieve,
she's a badass.
Oh, she's amazing. She's absolutely brilliant girl who's a drummer and a producer and an engineer. And when I met her, which was just by chance, I was interested in her potentially being one of our engineers here. So we exchanged numbers, and I said, you know, when Swing House is open, I'll give you a call. And then I decided very shortly after that I wanted to get rid of everybody at Drumhead and start fresh. So I gave her a call, and before I could even say anything about the magazine, which is why I was calling, she said, oh, before we talk about the studio, I'd like to talk to you about your magazine. And she started asking me some questions, and I basically said, look, if you're interested in doing this with me, then that's the reason why I'm calling. And she said, yeah, I just need to learn the publishing industry, so, you know, give me a few weeks. And in 3 weeks, she learned more about the publishing industry than my former managing editor had learned in 9 years. And in the last year that I've had her, our subscriptions are up 400%, and we're now #1 in circulation.
That's incredible, because in a time and age where magazines are
dying,
they're dying. You know, Playboy being, you know, case in point. How do you keep it fresh and, you know, on the stands and people buying it?
Because it's different, and again, it's the truth of the industry. I mean, you know, the magazine that's in front of your hand with Steve Gadd. You know, Steve Gadd, truly one of the greatest drummers of all time, Steve Gadd, God as we call him.
Yes, he is.
You know, has done God knows how many covers of magazines and interviews, and yet in this interview, which is the first time in his whole career, we talked about, you know, the drugs that they used to take And
Really?
and the bad times that he went
What?
through, with a divorce and kids, and how to balance, his career with a home life, and what worked and what didn't work. And we really got into a lot of deep stuff that nobody talks about.
Right.
And not to say that other magazines can or cannot do it, but, Steve and I have played drums on records together. He's recorded in Skyline. So when he and I sit down, it's not a journalist who found a few questions to ask Steve Gadd.
Right.
It's a drummer, not on his level, but it's a professional drummer, a colleague that really can talk shop with him. And it's the same thing with all of the guys that I interview. I don't do all of them, but whenever I do an interview, we get into really deep stuff. And, that Steve Gadd interview is 21 pages long.
Nice.
When I interviewed Terry Bozzio, we talked for 9.5 hours.
Wow.
I did his entire life and career. And,
It takes 9.5 hours to talk to Harry.
What?
It takes 9.5 hours to talk to him, though.
Oh yeah, it was amazing, and there was not a moment of downtime or anything, and so there really is so much to get into that nobody has ever gotten into before, and so it's a long form magazine. It's all education. It's all truth and honesty, and it's refreshing. It's different, and as other magazines get smaller in page count, we're getting bigger in page count.
Right.
That's the thickest magazine out right now for drums. And yeah, it's good.
I think the difference between having a mechanical, intellectual magazine rather than something that you can hold in your hand, take into the bathroom, because that's truly where you read. That's when you have the time to read. Otherwise, you're on your ridiculous little phones.
We're doing both. I mean, obviously, because the new generation, they're into iPads and reading on a Kindle and an Android.
But there's something very different
I
about
agree.
holding it in your hand and,
Yes.
going back and reading it again and looking, at, the products that are in there. And there's something just real about it. You become part of them.
Yes, I agree. And also, it's like you're buying something, so you've got something tangible to hold in your hand.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I like that.
downloading an MP3 doesn't really feel like you own it.
Right, yeah.
But not like having a record or a CD.
Yeah. Turtle, when are you going to make a record?
I've made tons of records. I just will not release it because I'm waiting till I die so that I can, issue it and make a killing.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
No pun intended.
Yeah. What I
That's an
always
interesting
wanted to know about is, especially you as a drummer, is like, why don't you come out with your own clothing line for drummer as far as for drumming? Because I don't think that's out there. Anytime I see a drummer, they're usually wearing whatever they feel comfortable in, but it's like there needs to be something for like, because you guys sweat so major. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that's something that hasn't been addressed when you're playing.
If it interested me, I would probably look into it. But to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, I do. I sweat like a pig when I play. When I'm on tour, I usually lose 2 to 3 pounds of water weight every night.
Holy cow.
But I've never really thought about it. I mean, a couple of tunes into it, in my younger years, my shirt would come off. Now I just get through it. 52, playing shirtless doesn't really work for me. But it's something to consider.
Yeah.
I know that they have drummer's shoes. Which is supposed to be, some type of a sole that's better on the pedals for control and everything. But I don't know. I mean, do they have lead singer clothes other than silly uniforms and, guitar clothing other than, I don't know.
I don't think
It's
they
just
do.
always been a thing of mine, like if someone's wearing a shirt and they're drumming, I just feel like that's going to really chafe them, and they're coming out really just chafed. I'm like, why can't they make some sort of material that's better at
Like
that?
a breathable material.
Yeah.
Turtle is a frustrated designer.
Oh,
Really,
now I
truly
see where
is.
this is going. Okay.
Oh, no.
Well,
I'm
we
not
should
trying
talk.
to-
No, just.
I'd be like, we only sell them underwear. They're only wearing,
Well, considering when you look at all of the bands out there and what every band, individual people in each band look like, there are so many different, looks out there. I mean, one guy, wants to look Western with a cowboy hat and whatever, and another guy's wearing, a gym outfit with skin-tight spandex and whatever, and then you got the guy who wears the wife beater and somebody else, I mean, leather.
Right.
I don't know if there could be one line to satisfy everyone.
well, you're just going to have to expand the clothing line to more different genres of clothing.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to make a killing.
Okay.
You're gonna have to do it.
I think we're onto something.
Let's hear another song. Oh, I really want to hear this one. This is Rudy Roberts. This African Painting. If that's all right with you guys.
Let's mark that down.
Yeah. Gotta mark it down so
Gotta
I
mark it. Because Turtle has decided that he's no longer going to purchase ink for his printer. So he can't make notes.
Gotcha.
And he doesn't know how to write because
So
he's a turtle.
That's what you're going to do.
That's right. So
Well, no, not that, but I'm trying to give up paper. You know, I finally came up
Save
to
a
that.
tree?
Save a tree. I know it's very ridiculous or whatever, but I'm like, hey, look, you know, I'll get, you know, I'm not getting rid of paper completely because I still draw and stuff, and I like to make my own cards. You know, but at least I'm like doing a service. Whereas like I have all these notes from like all of our shows. This is number 40. So, you know, I stopped like five shows ago, you know, using paper. So that's 35, you know, that's at least 70 pages, if not more, that I just have lying around. And not that they should be put in the Smithsonian or anything like that, but, you know, it's like I have 70 pages that I can't recycle. I can't do anything with, you know. So when my printer stopped doing ink,
It was a sign.
it was, and
was a
so
sign.
now I have to move everything to my phone, and then I just type on. It's a little bit more tedious, a little bit more ridiculous, but
next, we'll get you to stop eating meat.
no, that's not going to happen. I need the protein.
You can get it in different ways.
I know, but I do a lot of lifting now and stuff, and you know, I do nuts and things like that. But I just want, I don't know, I like eating meat and just feeling that like immediacy of like I feel like my muscles are just expanding like rapidly. It's weird, I know.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I'm pretty sure I'm 100% wrong, but you know, it's
It's
that
the thought
feeling.
that counts.
Yeah, it's
We've
that
been
feeling
doing
of-
the show for 3 years, and I always bring all of the food. I have never once brought a meat product. It's always vegan.
To be
And-
fair, you can't bring a meat product because I mean it's out in the open for countless hours. You
No,
know,
it's just
like-
because I don't buy meat. That's
and it wouldn't be healthy either. You know, after hour 4. of it.
But
Well,
you've
you're
never
you're
tried?
outvoted here 2 against 1
Right,
because
right.
I'm borderline vegan as well.
Really?
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not all the way because dietary issues. I have to eat a little bit.
I just eat
of
eggs.
something.
That's the only thing
Yeah.
I eat that comes from a living animal.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Nothing
drink
else.
cream in my coffee.
What?
I have cream in my
I
coffee.
don't even do
Shh,
that.
don't tell
Just black.
Just black.
Nobody knows that.
But not because I wouldn't eat dairy.
Right.
I don't eat much of it. I just don't like it. Yeah.
Are you a coffee connoisseur? Just real
Yes.
quick?
No, I'm a coffee drinker.
You're just a drinker. You don't care.
No, I don't like flavored coffee.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
no. French vanilla and Swiss
Yeah.
smoker. No. Just give me coffee. That's fine.
Have you
Coffee,
ever
coffee,
put cinnamon in your coffee?
No.
It's one of my favorite things.
No sugar, no cinnamon, nutmeg.
Wow, you're
zero.
just
black.
jeez.
That's because
Yeah.
he's a
Double
drummer.
espresso, nothing in it.
Drummers are often found at the coffee machine with their faces right under this little spigot.
Real quick, I've done espresso. I'm a barista, so I do. I can't. It's just too. I don't know. I can't do an espresso.
Really? Too strong?
It's just too. It's too bitter. You know. But I'm very curious. Have you tried that? There's this thing out. It's called like Nespresso.
Sure.
Have you tried that? Because that just seems like a lot of espresso that you're drinking. Because when you drink espresso, it's literally like just 2 shots. It's like
Right.
that much. But they're making it seem like it's like a big like cup like that.
Yeah.
You know
That's so potent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you've tried it or if.
Yeah,
you
the
know, that's-
Nespresso machines, little teeny ones
Yeah.
you pop in there, and everybody's got the Keurigs now.
Yeah.
And,
Right. That's
no,
what I
we
had.
have
I
like an
that.
old-fashioned, really nice coffee urn here, where you put it on in the morning and it makes about 40 cups and stays fresh all
Yeah.
day. And I probably
he
drink
drinks.
25 of the 40, but. Yeah, I can go without it though. I'm not addicted to it. I like the ritual of it.
Okay.
The taste I like, but it could be tea and it could just be hot lemon water. I just like the ritual of having a hot drink and getting me through the day.
I will say this: if you ever do have any coffee left over in your thing, you should just. This is what we do. We just pour it into like a pitcher, and then we put it in the refrigerator, and then it becomes iced coffee.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Yep.
You can make ice cubes. You can take the grounds and
No, don't take the
fertilize your
grounds.
plants. It's awesome.
I mean,
Really?
with the
You do
grounds.
them with the grounds?
The
With the
grounds.
grounds,
I never heard that before.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Well, there you
wonderful.
go. Are you,
Well,
You
Turkish
can-
coffee is great because that you make it with the grounds right in the cup.
Yes, that's true.
That's actually
That's
my
what my
favorite,
mom
like
would do.
Turkish, Armenian, Russian coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
And then
But
you read
You have
what
to have the special ladle to do it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Maybe that. Are you guys planning on putting any flowers or anything around the swing house, or do you think that's going to be coming
You
up?
mean as far as like just plants in the
Yeah.
place? We do have quite a few actually, but we're still doing some construction upstairs,
Okay.
so we've got everything tucked away in the
There's
office.
an upstairs too.
We have
Holy
another
There's
four.
so much
We have
more to
another
see,
4,000 square feet upstairs, which are becoming offices and conference rooms
Wow.
for music industry.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
JBL, Harman, Martin, they've already moved in.
cool. I love JBL.
Yeah.
Big fan of theirs.
Yeah, they supply all of our PA.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We're the only facility that is full blown with all of this, with their systems ready to tour.
Cool.
Yeah.
I will say this with your plants. Maybe we do that. We do an experiment where we just put the coffee grounds in there. That way, it's always like recycling.
Right. And
everything.
if we put a crystal in there, because our conversation earlier with Tracy Guns, because he was denying the fact that crystal actually has energy and
No.
you know.
You're taking that completely wrong. He was talking about people using the crystal in the wrong way. It wasn't the crystal. It was he was saying that people that use it to like take advantage of people.
I believe that his statement was that he is doubting the fact that it uses energy in that way.
Well, yeah, but it's the person that's doing that.
I
It's not the
wasn't-
crystal.
I didn't hear
I know.
that.
I know.
was
Sorry.
gonna say.
I'm
But
like,
you'll
wait a
have to go
minute.
back and,
Yeah.
and listen to the
It was,
show.
it was interesting if you're into that.
But if you take a crystal and you put that in your plant, it
Mhm.
will help it to grow as well.
Okay. I've never done it, so I can't say yes or no. I'm staying out of this one.
It's a fact.
No worries.
It's a max fact.
Uh-huh.
Next month you're gonna be like, why is Turtle taking all these coffee grounds and putting them in all the plants? I'm like, I
Right.
don't know.
I use coffee grounds to as
You're
like
rubbing your thigh?
Yes,
To
that's
rub
what I
her
do
thigh, that's-
in the shower.
Coffee
It's
grounds in the
coffee
shower?
grounds.
Really?
Caffeine on your thighs for a woman is very, very good. It's promotes stimulation in those fat cells and breaks them down. It's true. He's taking notes.
I've never
He's
done
taking
that,
notes.
so I'm going to have to stay out of this one too. Yeah.
I'm experiencing trying to use this thing.
That's a
This chair.
stool.
This
sir.
stool.
I need another kiss.
Dude, aren't they really
These
good?
are really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're
We're-
very good.
We're plugging Hershey's Kisses.
Yeah. The truffle ones.
Truffle
Yeah,
ones,
they're
yeah.
delicious.
Mm.
Really good. They
Yum.
have a soft, gooey center, like myself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I really like about Swing House is you guys have a bunch of dollies.
Mhm.
As weird as that may sound, but when I was at the other studios, none of them had dollies or anything like that, and I had to like lug in all my gear. And you know what? Yeah, as much as that sounds like I'm being a pansy or whatever, there's something to like having a dolly and just not, just moving all your gear with ease. Is just like one less thing that you gotta worry about or care about.
There was a reason man invented the wheel,
To
and that's one of them. Yes, I agree.
So thank you for that.
Mhm.
That's awesome. I actually feel bad because I feel like I've commandeered it for this entire time.
We have several, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're free for you to use.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have no idea.
Free.
You have no idea
That's his favorite word.
No. Well, I like that dolly particularly because it's just the perfect it's girthy. You know what I mean? So it could really carry a lot. And
We at Swing House have girth. Yes.
Speaking of girth, let's talk about Joe Satriani for a second.
What does that have to do with girth?
Or lack
That's
of.
something I also don't know about, so I'm going to stay out of that one. What would you like to talk to me about, Joe?
So you had because earlier in the show we were talking a lot about kind of like love-hate relationships with bands that you've been in.
Mhm.
Tracy Guns, obviously, with several of his bands. I know that it was kind of an up and down thing with you, with Satriani,
Uh-huh.
and I'm a huge fan of his, but I'm obviously a bigger fan of yours. And how has that relationship changed over the years? Do you talk to him at all?
Yeah. I had a really, really nice phone call, a big surprise about maybe 6 months ago. And it was Joe, and it was the first time we had spoken in, I think, 19 years.
Wow.
And we had a really great chat on the phone. And yeah, I mean, you know, there's always two sides to every story, if not three sometimes. And at the time that I left, which was almost 10 years of working with Joe, which was a great 10 years. I mean, mind you, it was, you know, he's truly one of the great guitar players of our time, and it was an honor working with him and a great experience. But at that time, 95, I had done my first record side project. I had a band called Einstein, and we had actually gotten signed.
Brilliant band, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. And we had the opportunity to go out and open up a couple of tours. One were dates for Dream Theater, which was a lot of fun, and then we had the opportunity to go out and open for Ingve in Europe and South America. So we did the Dream Theater dates, and then Joe had called to see if I was interested in recording and touring at that time, which I wasn't. And so he did the record with another band. Manu Ketche was playing drums, one of my favorites. But Manu and Nathan East and Andy Fairweather-Lowe, who were on the band, they weren't going to do the tour. So he called back a few times and finally convinced me to go back out on the road. But it was under the understanding that I did have something else going on at the time, and I didn't know that I was going to be able to do the whole year on the road, and we would take it leg by leg. And just, some things happened, good and bad, and I decided that I wanted to not continue at some point and focus on my other things. The other thing was I had moved from London to New York because I met Joe. And so, I made this move back to the States, but ever since I got to New York, I was always on the road. I was really busy. First thing was the tour of the Soviet Union. Then I went out with Alice with you guys. Then I went back out with Joe. Then I was with Aretha Franklin for 2.5 or 3 years, back with Joe. And, so I was in New York, but I wasn't in New York. And as you know, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
So every time I would get back to New York for a week or a month, I would get a few good gigs. And then the next thing you know, they'd call and I'd be gone for 8 months on tour. So it really was a time where I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to be around town for a while to get myself more established. And so I gave my notice, and it was just, it wasn't well received. And unfortunately, Joe and I didn't speak for 19 years, which was sad because we had really had a great 10-year run together. But all that is in the past, and, it was funny when he called. I knew the voice, but I didn't know who it was. But I knew the voice right away. And then after, a couple of seconds when he said who it was like no time had gone by, no bad blood, no nothing. It was a really nice conversation. So he invited me out to a couple of shows, but I wasn't in town when he was playing. But I hope to see him soon in person, and, we'll see what happens. You never know.
Yeah, he is one of the greatest guitar
Absolutely.
players.
Yeah.
Definitely a style. I ran into Steve Vai this weekend at NAMM.
Yeah, another monster who I played with a few times.
Monster, and just a genuine sweetheart.
Yeah.
Many years ago, he gave me a book that pretty much changed my life. How to look at life and the industry and how not to get pretty much,
eaten up by it.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
No, he's a pretty spiritual guy, and
Yeah.
I think when it comes to music, he lives a very clean life of it. And yeah, they're both great guys to be around and to play with. I worked with Joe much more than Steve, but the few times I played with Steve was very exciting. But speaking of Joe, I can't believe that next year is the 30th anniversary of surfing, and from when we started working together. So seriously, 30 years.
Any big plans you'd like to reveal?
No. Not at this time. No, but it, just interesting timing. You never know.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
But regardless of all that, though, I'm very happy that he called, and I really am, pleased that we're speaking again. It's funny. I've had reoccurring dreams through my entire life, and there's a couple I've had ever since I was a little kid that are just bizarre and not worth getting into. But there are two musical dreams that I've had for a long, long time, no joking. One of them, and I've had it so many times, is that I'm on stage with Jeff Beck, but nothing's working. Either my snare drum is falling apart, or my kick pedal broke, or my cymbals are falling over. Like, there I am playing with Jeff Beck, dream of all dreams, and I can't do it because nothing's happening. And I have a similar one that Joe and I are still working together, and then I wake up, and it's a disappointment that we weren't
Oh.
speaking for so long, and it was a disappointment that I hadn't played with Jeff Beck. But anyway, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
Well, hopefully, at
Yeah,
this
you
time.
never know. But even so, just being friends again is worth
that's
more
huge.
than playing. It really is.
This time in our lives, I think it's really important to, mend fences and, forgive and,
Yeah.
move on from having any sort of ill
Yeah.
will towards anybody. And
It's funny, I got contacted about 6 months ago from some drummer who was doing, and forgive me for forgetting your name, whoever you are, but it was somebody that had reached out to a lot of pro drummers and said, can you give me a 3-word sentence of advice for, and everybody said, use a metronome, and, think about music, play for the song, and all that stuff. And my 3 words were, don't burn bridges. And even though you might not be lighting the match, it's just not worth it. It really isn't. And it's funny because, when I was playing with Alice, when we met, some things had also gone down, and Joe was calling me and begging me to come back, because that was the first time that I really kind of gave my notice and went on to do another gig. And when I finally went back with Joe, there were some things that were, you remember, but it's not worth getting into.
Oh,
that,
I think it is.
That were left behind
But that's
with
so
Alice
fun.
that I thought were really bad, and I felt terrible for many, many years. And a couple of years ago, when they called me to go back out on tour, and I was on the road with the tour manager. I was on the phone with the tour manager. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and he said, "We have a problem. Can you be with us, on stage Friday night and take over for a few months?" I said, "Yes, of course, but you remember, this is Jonathan Mover you're calling. Does
Okay.
Alice know you're calling me?" He said, "Yes, of course. Alice was the one that recommended you." And I said, "Yeah, but remember what went down?" And he said, "Are you kidding? That wasn't you. We found out who that was, and we fired him 20 years ago, or whatever, 30 years ago, whenever it was." And so that was really nice to find out that all along, there wasn't any bad blood when I thought there was. And yeah, it's just not worth it. Life is too short.
It is too short.
Yeah.
It's and because we're losing so many of our
Man.
our peers right
Yeah.
now, it's so difficult, to think that anybody would have any sort of ill feelings about you. So it's like you want to just fix that, and just make sure, in everything that we do, people that we meet on the street, you just want to smile at them rather than, just walk by in a grumpy mood, turtle.
Well, I'll tell you something. I mean, as I said before, although I've been commuting to LA for, so long, I never, up until the last couple of months, having moved here, I never spent more than 11 or 12 days in LA. So I never really got into it here, but I was always coming out to do a record or a date or something. And everybody's asking me, so how do you like LA? Well, number one, you can't beat the weather. I ride a Harley and I play golf, and I can do it year round now, so I'm very happy. There seems to be a lot of music going on, which so far has been great on a few sessions I've been on and jamming with some people and playing live. But what I really like best is the sunny disposition. I've got an apartment 2 blocks from here, and I walk over and I walk back home every day, and strangers that I cross on the sidewalk all smile and say hello. And, I was just in New York 2 weeks ago recording and getting bumped in the shoulder and being pushed on the subway. And I couldn't believe it, but 2 days in New York, I was like, I can't wait to get back home. Because, it is. People are nice, and it's just, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's just not worth holding that anger and that energy.
It's true.
I mean, I don't know what crystals do, but I am a firm believer that what you put out there makes a difference. And, most of the world is pretty angry, which is why we're all fucked up.
Right. There's this theory, if you are to have different glasses of water and speak happy or kind words to them, and then one you speak bad to ugly words, they'll have a different energy. And it's been recorded and measured and scientifically proven. So
Again, I haven't witnessed it, so I don't know the difference of what a
it's true. Look it
happy
up.
glass of water
Look it up.
tastes like as opposed to an angry glass of water.
Well, I'll give you one later.
Okay, but I do know that I always have plants in my apartment, and there's no doubt that when you play music and it's got a good vibe in your place, they're healthy, they grow, and they prosper,
Right.
and so I do believe in a lot of that. Yeah.
I'm really curious about your painting. Specific, because when I walked in,
The artwork here is not mine. No, just kidding.
Well, you're painting. What I
Yes.
like is that you're painting. Some of the rooms and stuff, like you yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was really
Brush in
cool.
hand.
Yeah,
Jonathan Mover.
are you enjoying that, or is it becoming too much business?
No. I mean, I can't say that I physically enjoy having a roller in my hand and painting, production suites. But the end result is very gratifying and satisfying. And there are three factors involved, really. I mean, one is, the financial, me being in there doing it, being a partner and an owner of this place. It's a big,
Yeah.
undertaking. This is a multi-million-dollar facility. And so we are keeping an eye on everything. Fortunately, we're booked solid and things are in the black, but, every penny that we save counts. Number two, if I can do it, I know I'm going to do a really great job. Whereas 90% of the time when you farm something out, it doesn't come out the way you would, like it to come out. And three, it's my place, along with Phil and everything. So the more that I can do to just be a part of it. Owning Skyline, we started out with a one-room big facility, and then I had a Studio B and a Studio C, and then a couple of offices, and I was right there building that stuff. So I know what it's all about, and I like to at least be able to keep my fingers, in it and see what's going on to make sure it's being done the right way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
Cool.
gratifying to do that. When we had late night, when we moved from Hollywood into Burbank, it was just a square room.
shell,
and we built that out in my parents' studio in Florida.
Mhm.
The same thing, just creating studios, and the love goes into the walls, and so.
The other great thing for me, too, is whenever I'm hands-on, and this is something my father taught me, you learn. If your VCR breaks, open it up and take a look. And even if you can't fix it, you're going to learn about what's going on. And if you can fix it, then great.
Right.
So, especially in the days of Skyline, when we were building the rooms, I would be in there watching everybody and asking questions, I mean, what does it mean to splay a wall? I
Right.
mean, why are you doing wiring this way? What's the difference in grounding and phasing? And when you know that stuff, and then you're building something later on, you can tell if they're doing it the right way or the wrong way. And believe me, I mean, you learn from your mistakes. You spend several thousands of dollars only to find out that somebody did something incorrectly, and then it's costing you twice as much in the end.
Right.
So everybody has had that experience in here. Genevieve has built studios before and managed them, and Phil has had Swing House for 20 plus years, and I had Skyline for 17. So we've all made our mistakes in the past. So it's good. Yeah, it's all good.
One of the last questions I've always wanted to ask you when I saw you is the earring in the nose. How long have you had it? Why earring in the nose?
Well, this is my ear, actually. It's not my nose. This is my
that's
nose
right.
ring in my ear. The nose ring in the nose. Why do I have it?
Why do you have it? Yeah, and
I have it. Strangely enough. I mean, I got it a long time ago. I moved to London when it was the end of the punk era, and there were some things over there that I just thought were really cool. I broke my nose 3 times in my life and never had it fixed, and it's crooked, and so I put the the nose ring in so it takes away from looking at the bend in the middle of my nose. That was really the reason why I did it.
It's sexy.
And I've had it for a long time. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's the only ring that I don't take out, actually. I've got 6 in my ears, and I don't wear them often, but for some strange reason, the holes never close. I could go home now and put in, 6 rings and right through, but the nose just stays the way it is. I went through that phase of putting the chain in to my nose to my ear, and that was the thing that you just saw the Indian girls and the Pakistani girls in London were doing that, and then it was it wasn't a big deal when I saw it and did those things in England, but then you see it happening over here. I mean, now it's not a big deal, but 15, 20 years ago when I was doing it, everybody thought that I was out of my mind, and I saw it before.
That was my way of pissing off my parents when I was younger. I had, pierced my face in, I guess they call it snake bites now, where you pierce the bottom and the top of your lip. And then I had safety pins that went,
nice.
from my ears.
Oh, that was the punk thing, safety pins.
Right, because I was in a punk band and, but my parents were very upset at that. And I had hid it because, I was modeling and working all the time. So they never really noticed it until I was having this coming out party when I was 15. And in Palm Beach, it's where they line up all of the eligible men in your culture, and they basically bid on you. And all the girls come down the staircase in the white ball gowns.
This is America we're talking about?
Yeah, in Palm Beach. But, my family's culturally insane. So I'm standing at the top of the stairs in this white ball gown with my combat boots and my fuchsia mohawk and my piercings in my face. And
nobody bid on you?
Nobody bid.
I would have bid on you.
Oh, thank you so much. My parents just lost it right there. They were like, that's it. And we can't do a thing with this girl. I just didn't want to get sold for a goat and 2 camels.
Well, I pierced my ear for, the first time I got an ear piercing. I think I was 14 and a half. And I was already growing my hair long. And I was into English progressive rock, ELP, Genesis, Yes, Jethro Tull, Crimson, UK. That was what I was into, as well as Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, the Beatles, of course. But over in England, when you pierced your ear, you pierced your right ear. And to me, one of the coolest, most fashionable rock stars ever, bless him, because he's gone now last year or the year before, is Chris Squire, the bass player from Yes. Not only did he play, monster bass player, but he had the most amazing outfits with scarves and drapery and everything, and he always had these fantastic hanging earrings from his right ear. So I went out and I pierced my right ear and tried to keep it covered with my black curly locks as long as I could. And then one day my mother saw something shining through my hair and came and looked at, what did you do? And at that time, I was going to private Catholic school, which, I was told to cut my hair, take out the earring. It didn't go down very well. And then when I decided to get the second one, I got my left. And this was like before George Michael. I was wearing, 2 rings, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, they don't appreciate that too much.
No, especially back then. Now, if you don't, now everybody from, football players to librarians or whatever, every guy out there has got 2 earrings in. But back then, late 70s, early 80s, no way.
Yeah.
That was just forget it. I got called every name in the book and got beaten up quite a few times.
I thought it was interesting, because my mother had her nose pierced, and, that was okay for the family, but for me to have,
well, that was the tradition for her, right?
Right, because she was Egyptian. So but it was strange. Double standard, always.
Well.
You don't have anything pierced, Turtle?
My cock, but
that's
so
small,
that's
nobody
for the
sees
ladies.
that.
That's for the ladies.
Do you have the Prince Albert or do you have the...
Prince Albert,
He is
of course.
Prince Charming.
Oh, man. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We